Welcome to the graveyard.
And you are listening to the Graveyard Show podcast, the Tombstone Edition. I am your caretaker, and the graveyard is open. Thank you for joining me on this second Tombstone edition of the Graveyard Show podcast. On this episode, I will be revisiting my interview with actor Hal Havins, one of the stars of the original Night of the Demons. Now, normally I would play my guests at the very top, introducing you to the show. Unfortunately, Hal was one of 4 guests on that Halloween podcast that I did, and I wound up editing all of them doing the intro. So, unfortunately, this is all I had left of Hal's intro.
Hi, this is Hal Havins, Stooge from Night of the Demons.
And it's moments like that when I wish I had better archiving skills. Anyway, I will be talking to Hal about making Night of the Demons, how he actually did give blood in one of the scenes of the film. It's not a pretty story. And we will also discuss how much he liked the Halloween mugs we gave out at our annual Halloween party back in the day. It's a fun interview that I enjoyed revisiting when I was putting this together. But before I continue to the interview, I did want to mention, with some of the earlier interviews I conducted on the Graveyard Show podcast, I didn't have the professional equipment I needed to record the interviews the way I originally intended. So what you're essentially hearing will be a recorded phone call. Eventually, I was able to correct that with the later interviews I conducted. So, as with Tombstone number 1, I did do an audio pass on the interview to remove some of the hiss from the call, as well as even out the audio levels. So without any further delay, just follow my trusty werewolf over there. He will take you deep inside the Graveyard archives as we revisit my interview with actor Hal Havins. The time? October 29th, 2009, the place. Graveyard Show podcast number 43. I will see you right back here when you return. Safe travels. The New Beverly Cinema will be doing a Night of the Demons triple feature on Halloween night. And my next guest, well, he's going to be attending that screening as well as doing a Q&A, which will cause him, unfortunately for me and my wife, he's going to be missing our Halloween party this year because of that. He played the character of Stooge in the original film, and he also co-starred in the film Witch Trap. Incidentally, both of those films were directed by Kevin Tenney, who was on our previous podcast. Well, my guest right now is actor and soon-to-be director Hal Havins. Hal, thanks for being here.
Hey, how you doing? It's nice to be here, thanks.
Well, it's great to have you on the show.
Yeah, my wife and I are completely heartbroken about missing the party.
Now, for listeners out there, my wife and I have been having this Halloween party. Mrs. Caretaker and yours truly, the caretaker, have been having a Halloween party here at the house for the last few years, and Hal is the 2-time trivia champion. So
that's right.
Yeah. So unfortunately, now I'm going to have to give the traditional Halloween mug to somebody else. It's going to break my heart to do that, but I'll have to have one for you just because Night of the Demons is now over 20 years, and you're going to this great screening and Q&A, so I'll get one for you for that. But now, speaking of Night of the Demons, now can you believe that it has been 20 years since the movie's been released?
No, actually, I can't. I didn't think I'd survive 20 years from anything I've ever done in my life. 20 years is it's pretty crazy.
Now, the New Beverly Cinema is going to be doing the screening with you and doing the Q&A after the fact. What can you tell us about that? Who's going to be there? Do you know?
Yeah, from what I know, Kevin's obviously going to be there. Kevin Tenney, the director.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Jill and Phil Tanzini.
Okay.
And Phil, if anybody remembers from the film, he was the character that wore the doctor's clothes.
Yes.
Got to be about the funniest guy I've ever met in my life. He didn't get to show it in the film, but he is hilarious. So it'll be good to see him again.
Now let's go back to
when you did the movie. How did you get the part of Stooge?
Auditioned.
Okay.
I think it was just a straight audition, if I remember right. Went in, 3 or 4 times. And I remember complaining because I had double booked a job. So I lost 2 weeks on a series. And I was complaining about it. And Kevin's like, well, you're going to get a lot more work out of this one. So that's what I did.
Now, was it one of those things where your agent said to you, "Hal, we have, we just got this script"? How did it work out? Because obviously at that time you didn't know Kevin, did you?
No, I didn't know anybody involved.
Okay.
We, got to be friends over the years after that. But no, it was just the agent called, said you got an audition. I imagine they submitted.
Yeah.
And it probably took 2 months. And by the time I was done with the process, I had probably the best job of my life.
Yeah, and we'll get into that in just a minute. When you found out that the movie, you get the script. I'm just curious, as a young actor, when you get the script and it's called Night of the Demons, was that something that you thought, oh God, a horror movie, or was it something that horror movies had interested you?
Well, it was actually called Halloween Party at the time. Yeah, I was a little, because at the time I was an actor, And my wife was just over the moon. She loves horror. She's a fanatic for it. So she's like, this is great, this is great, this is great, you got to do it. So, you start working on something, and as an actor, your job, there's an old saying, you find the love.
Yep.
You find what you love about it. And the more I worked on it, the more I loved it. And, thank God, the work paid off.
Sure. Now, do you remember, was the movie, because it takes place at night, and for anybody who works in the movie industry or knows enough about the movie industry...
Yeah, it was all nights.
It was all nights, okay.
6 weeks, I think, a night.
Okay, so can you describe, for anybody, because I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that don't understand what it means to be doing overnights. Can you describe how that was, getting up at 3 in the afternoon and working till 7 a.m.?
It's good for me anyway because I'm an insomniac.
Oh, okay.
I'm always working at night. But it's strange for the people around you because you get home at 6 in the morning, crack a beer.
Yeah.
Have your after-work beer and go to bed. But, so, I'm really comfortable at night anyway. But, yeah, it does drag on most people because you change your clock and you just keep grinding it out week after week after week. And,
yeah.
It can make most people a little tired.
Yeah.
But since those are my hours anyway,
Yeah, so it didn't really matter.
Yeah, and that's another thing that makes horror great for me. For some reason, I did okay in horror, and staying up all night, all horror shot at night.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's as if they're working their schedule on your schedule.
Exactly. And I think another reason for it, not just that it's dark, it's cheaper to work at night.
Yeah, true. I've come to this conclusion that we're not meant to be nocturnal because no matter how hard, whenever I would work at night, no matter doing what, I could sleep all day, 8-10 hours, and for me, I'm one of those people that just does not work for us. As 3 or 4 in the morning, I could stay up and watch TV and maybe go to the movies at 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
But when it comes to actually making decisions, I'm like a bucket of Jell-O at 3 in the morning at work.
The Caretaker is a morning person? What?
Yes.
Well,
yeah.
I guess somebody's got to schedule the deliveries, right?
Exactly. I can't. I just, that at 4 in the morning, it's just, the brain just shuts off and that's it. You might as well just, might as well call it a day at that point. Now, you'd mentioned being an actor. The part of Stooge is the smart ass in the movie. He's the wild guy.
Yeah.
As an actor, when you see a part like that, is it sort of a trap where you look at it and go, oh, this is easy to play because there's a smart ass and you just kind of, just go into it and just go crazy? Or is it something that as an actor you go, not so easy because it might not come off as well on film if I go completely over the top? How did you approach it?
Wow, that's an interesting question. I don't know. It really depends on the individual character. You know what I mean? You know, a guy like me, I end up doing a lot of smart asses anyway, right? And they've all got to be different. They've all got to be unique to themselves. You know, you can't just do the same thing over and over and over. And again, it goes back to find what you love about the character. I thought Stooge was funny. So that's what I focused on. I just, you know, I thought of him as a funny guy. And even though he was, you know, hanging out the whole movie with Alison Barron, who's absolutely gorgeous, I knew he wasn't really with her. You know, I mean, that there was no payoff in the script for him. So I figured they only put up with him because he's got the car. And, you know, that's what you do. You just, as far as being over the top, I think I was probably as over the top as you could be in that film.
Yeah.
So I think I met that match. So I guess being subtle wasn't really, you know, too much a burden for me back then.
Now, speaking of the payoffs, Stooge does get a payoff with Angela in the film.
Yes, indeed.
Although it doesn't work out as well as he had thought it was going to work out. But let's
getting some is getting some.
Yeah, exactly. Now, that sequence leading into your subsequent death scene, I guess it's probably the staple of the film. I mean, the dancing scene that Angela does, and Amelia Kincaid, I mean, does an amazing job dancing in that film. Was that something that, I mean, were you there? Did you watch her do that scene before your part? Or
yeah, that was her idea, actually.
Were you surprised at how amazing of a dancer she was, or did you know it going into it?
I knew she was a dancer.
Okay.
Yeah, she was a trained dancer.
I mean, because it's one of the most amazing things that, I mean, it's like here we are in this horror movie, and she's just like putting on the show, and it's like, oh my God, it's like this scene stealer here.
Yeah, daddy like.
Now let's talk about the tongue sequence. When it was planned out, did you have the fake tongue in your mouth at that point, or was it more done in cuts where it was like, okay, you guys kiss, and then...
No, it was done in cuts.
Okay.
You know, we did the kiss, because there's dialogue leading up to it. We did the kiss, and then we cut away, and then we did the tongue bit. And half the blood was real, though.
What happened?
People don't know this. I had my earring ripped out during that scene. I had gotten my ear pierced for the film, and I was wearing this long earring, and when I spun off of her and fell to the ground, my earring got caught in her glove. And so it ripped out of my head. So I go back to makeup to get cleaned up to shoot again, and I feel this tugging on my ear, and the makeup artist is like, what is that? Oh my God, that's part of you.
Oh no.
So that's not the oh no moment, though. The oh no moment is I con the paramedic on set into cutting off the piece of meat that came out of my ear. And then shoving the earring back through the scab because I wasn't going to go out of continuity.
Oh, like a true actor.
I wasn't going to have it. I wasn't going to spend the rest of my life knowing that earring disappears and reappears.
Oh my God.
So that was the worst part of that film. That earring shoved back through my ear.
I was going to say, how much pain were you in at that point?
It was pretty bad. He rubbed it with a little lidocaine first. And then he basically said, look, this is going to be miserable. I was like, I know. And he just shoved it through the scab. And, you know, so I got a nice little scar, but, you know, my ear looks fine.
Wow. So in theory, you had your tongue and your ear
exactly
ripped off in the same scene.
Don't date Angela, man. She's not a great ride. She's a dancer, but not a great ride.
Now, when you become one of the demons in the film,
yeah.
Was that more fun playing that than playing Stooge just as the character, or?
I like Stooge as a character.
Yeah.
I thought he was a funny guy. I enjoyed it. I thought I was a horrible demon. I thought I was the most unscary, scary guy on the planet. And, you know, thank God James Quinn, you know, could make all the monster noises. Apparently it was him that looped most of all the monster noises in.
Oh, okay.
Because a lot of that I spent laughing, I think. But it was fun. It was, you know, it was a blast doing all the makeup and stuff.
And you got to have a cool kill in the film too, right? With the sequence in the
Oh, the fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't get to do that. I wanted to. And then I found out you actually had to be a professional trained to light yourself on fire.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're probably like.
I'm serious. I wanted to do it.
Wow.
That would have been a blast.
I was gonna say. I mean, wow, that's dedication, Hal. That really is. I can't. I don't know. I think most actors would be like, "I'll be leaving now. You can call me."
It's not that dangerous though, if you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's bad. It's fire, but it's
Yeah.
not that bad if you know what you're doing. And the stuntman at the time was Paul Short. He ended up doubling me in like 5 different projects.
Oh wow.
And so it was kind of nice. I had my own stunt guy. It was bad for him. He was short enough and fat enough that he could do me. But, you know, I kind of liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got my own stunt guy. Call Paul.
Yeah, there you go. I'll be my trailer.
Exactly.
What was the chemistry like with you and the other actors? I mean, what was it like working on this film from the acting perspective?
I know a lot of people say this stuff, but it was a great time.
Yeah.
We were all young. Most of us, it was kind of our first larger thing, you know?
Yeah.
And it was just a blast. Like I said, Phil was about the funniest guy I ever met. Billy Gallo was funny as hell, too. He was a great guy. So we had a lot of fun, you know? We basically screwed around all night.
Yeah.
And played, you know, and we got paid.
Which is great. That's the cherry on top.
Exactly.
Yeah, because, I mean, it's certainly a lot of setup time in between shots, and I'm sure even for a low-budget film like that at the time.
Yeah, especially for that. Actually, it wasn't that low budget at the time, you know, in all honesty.
Yeah.
But yeah, especially because there were so many effects.
Yeah.
There was a lot of waiting around. But, you know, the thing about Kevin is he's a great captain. And, you know, I don't need to blow smoke.
Yeah.
But he, you know, he was just always calm, always together. And like you mentioned, I've worked on a couple things with him now.
Yeah.
And he's just always calm. Everything is cool. Everything is fine. It doesn't matter how bad things are falling apart.
Yeah.
He's the one that's always together. So if you just look to him, you know, you can cruise through this stuff.
Yeah, that's interesting that you mentioned that, because I think that's one of the more overlooked things about filmmaking is, can you talk about this for the listeners out there that, again, may not be well-versed in what filmmaking is. Can you describe how important it is when you can turn to a director like that and he's very, or she is very calm and collected? How does that directly reflect on you as an actor?
It is important because, especially back then when you're so young and you're trying to kind of find your place on set, you know. I came out of theater and I'd spent, I don't know, probably 8 years doing stage work. And so film and television was a little bit different for me. And in LA, you know, especially in television, directors don't really talk to you that much. You're used to in theater, you know, directors work with you very intensely, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Where in television, they barely know who you are, you know. But Kevin, you know, he was a different kind of guy. He always had easy notes, you know. He always had this like kind of easy way of just flicking through what he wanted. And you know, you look for that confidence, and it kind of, you know, it spills over on you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if the boss is happy, everybody's happy, right?
Sure.
And yeah, so he was a great influence actually early on, and I tend to be a little intense about stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of taught me that, you know, you can still stay dedicated to something and not, you know, not have to slice your wrist.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure too. It's equally as important when you like you said, you know, things could be falling apart around you, and here he is, just like, oh, we're okay, we're good.
Exactly, and he was always that way.
Yeah.
You know.
Because unlike the on-set crew, I mean, you guys, you know, you're there, you block, you know, you walk away, you know, they have, you know, stand-ins there, so you're not in tune with what's going on all the time. Plus, you're worrying about, you know, your part and your lines and everything else. So.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want talent, you know, involved in what's going on day to day.
Yeah.
You know, you don't. Yeah, kind of like the old. You don't want to know how the sausage is made.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a very good way of putting it.
You don't want talent being concerned if, you know,
yeah,
the generator's working correctly or not.
Sure.
Because they will. You'll obsess on it.
Yeah.
You know, for no reason. Because it's not like, you know, any of us can do anything about a generator not working.
Sure.
But you will obsess on it.
Yeah, and then it becomes counterproductive.
Yeah, that's the nature of the job.
Yep.
It's a little tiny bubble. It's very intense, and you know, you will obsess on any crazy thing. Anything that gets inside your head while you're trying to focus, you know, it becomes bigger. You know, it's like the dripping faucet when you're trying to read.
Yep.
It's louder and louder and louder, you know, until Martin Fink comes out and hits you with a hammer.
Yeah. That was the past, a long time ago. Let's talk about the present, Hal. Let's talk about, well, really the future, because now you're trading in your acting days for directing days.
Well, I'm not trading.
I'm not trading. You're not trading.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever stop, you know. Grinding out auditions.
So if the directing thing goes, you're still going to be acting as well.
Exactly.
Okay, so you really do have a true love for acting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's, you know, through good times and bad times. That's what I am.
Yeah. That's really interesting. That's really interesting, because a lot I don't. That's not something I've heard from other actors. Usually, it seems like once they get into directing, that's kind of like where they want to go.
Well, I've always wanted to.
Yeah.
You know, move on, and I always knew that I would.
Yeah.
At some point, tell my own stories. You know.
Yep.
But you know, deep down, I mean, you are who you are, and my identity is that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's so much a part of me I could never deny it.
Yeah.
And if I did, I know I'd go nuts anyway. So you got that.
Yeah. So now you're shifting gears, let's say then, and you're directing your first feature film.
Yep.
By the name of Truck Stop.
Yeah.
Looking at starting next year, am I correct?
Yep. Early 2010.
So let's talk about it. What can you tell listeners out there about this script, Truck Stop?
Well, it's a horror film. Hopefully it's going to be a great piece. We're getting a lot of good, you know, feedback on the script, and it's a horror film about a serial killer, and it's really about the effects of a serial killer on his victim, and it's told through the eyes of the victim. I don't really know what else to say about it.
Will you be
pretty excited? We have a young actor named Tom Payne from England. Starring in it. He starred in Miss Pettigrew Lives for a Day, and Waterloo Road, a television series over there. We've also got a great character actor from America that everybody will know, Tony Longo.
Okay.
And while you may not know his name, you know him. He's done everything. I mean, and he's a really talented guy, and I think this is going to be a great opportunity for him to show a different side of what he does.
Okay.
Hopefully, yeah. Well, somebody just mentioned over here, hey, tell them it's a franchise. Yeah, we have a lot of subsequent stories.
Okay.
To go along with this, to kind of build around. They're all kind of, you know, different aspects of the same story. You know, which is really what happens to you when you've, you know, been affected by something so tragic.
Yep.
And you know, basically, we're going to get this kid and torture him for as many months as we can torture him. It'll be good.
Now, will you be acting in it as well, or are you just going to be staying behind?
Yeah, no, I do. I have a small part in it.
Okay.
And do my little Alfred Hitchcock moment, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got a very small part, kind of an expositionary role to help set up another character.
Okay.
The one thing I'm trying to make a little different in this, and it's kind of a fine line to walk, is what I hate, especially about horror films, is disposable characters.
Yeah.
I hate characters that show up to get killed.
Yep.
So I started developing all of these smaller characters a little bit more to try to give them, you know, some sense of life. And it really helped, I think, kind of structure the whole piece. I hope I haven't done it too much. We'll find out when we make it.
Yep.
But, you know, I want, you know, and it's important the audience knows who they're rooting for and who they're not. And so you have to kind of give them a little bit of story, a little bit of, you know, you got to give them a character. You can't just keep swinging blades around for 90 minutes and expect people to, you know, you get excited. I'm not, you know, trying to denigrate any other style of script writing, you know.
Yeah.
But you want people to know who they're rooting for, and you want them to care about these people. And so that's kind of kind of the direction I've taken it.
Now, have you begun breaking down the script at all? Have you started location scouting, or are we still in the pre-production stages?
No, we have done a little bit of location work. We do know that we're going to be in Michigan.
Okay.
And we've got a couple locations that we're kind of trying to decide about. It's a very specific location piece.
Okay.
So one of the problems is exactly how much can we build to kind of fit the mold, and how much can we find. You know, some of one of the places we found, it's in the right spot, but it doesn't have enough. And frankly, with our budget, I don't know how much we can build.
Yeah.
So there might be, some technical changes because of location. But yeah, we've got a couple great spots out there that we think will work, hopefully.
Now, is there a potential release date, or is this way too early yet to?
Yeah, it's way too early for that. I imagine it'll be, it'll be late 2010.
Okay. So probably in about a year or so, we could probably, hopefully, be seeing it hitting the screen or hitting DVDs. Fantastic.
Well, hopefully we're going to go out theatrically first.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
That's the dream. We've got, we've got two companies that are very, basically, as long as you bring in the product,
yep,
we've got the deal. So we got to bring in strong product, and at this stage of the game, everything is, I don't even know the terms. At this stage in the game, because of who I am, and this is my first feature, it's always about proving yourself.
Yeah.
But luckily, we've been able to sell a lot of people just on the script, and I feel fairly comfortable about our distribution.
Great. Is this something that you wrote, or is this something that?
It's something I rewrote.
Okay.
The original script was written by a guy, Jim Henson.
Okay.
And so he created the characters. Oddly enough, I found out later the original idea came from the person that is executive producing it.
Oh.
And I had no idea in the beginning. He had known Jim and discussed this story with him.
Okay.
And then I kind of took it over and started working on, threshing out the story a little bit and the characters.
Okay.
Try to give it, you've got to tell your story. You can't tell somebody else's story, unfortunately. So you have to kind of figure out how to make it yours and how to make it, your vision. Wow, this is getting boring and esoteric.
No, I think it's actually extremely interesting. Well, on that note, Al, we certainly wish you all the best with Truck Stop, and certainly whatever information comes in for the film, please send it our way. We'll definitely talk about it here on the show.
Oh,
we'll definitely do our best to promote it for you as well, and let the listeners out there know where they can go, especially when a website gets set up for the film. Definitely send it our way. We will definitely post it so everybody can go there and see the progress on the film and see what's going on and stills and all kinds of stuff. But and also this weekend, have a great time at the Night of the Demons screening and the Q&A. We will miss you at our Halloween party, but we know that you have other things you have to do.
Well, we'll miss the party because we look forward to it.
I know. You guys, we're disappointed, but we understand. I mean, it's one of those things. It just happens to. Who knew, right?
Well, you never actually throw your party on Halloween.
I know, and now this year I do, and look what happens. So next year will not be on Halloween. So.
Yeah, and you know what? Next year I'll be unemployed again.
I have a feeling you won't be, but that's just between us. Al, thanks so much for coming to the Graveyard Show. I really appreciate it. Best of luck with the screening of the film. We'll have you back again down the road.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
I made a stupid mistake at the top of Hal's interview. I said that it was a Night of the Demons trilogy that was being shown at the New Beverly Cinema. It is actually Night of the Demons, followed by Dario Argento's Demons that he produced, Demons, and Demons 2. So that's on me. So it's not the Night of the Demons trilogy. It's Night of the Demons, the original, followed by Demons, and then followed by Demons 2. So And you can go to New Beverly Cinema's website to get times on that. It's newbevcinema.com. We have a link on our site as well for that. So just a couple of PSs there on those interviews. Hal and I were joking about the Halloween party that my wife and I do here in the graveyard, which we've been doing for last few years now. And Hal and his wife Susan really do look forward to coming here. I know the first year they came, they got here like 15 minutes early, and they were nice enough to wait outside while we were finishing up all the decorations and just the last minute stuff here. They're great. I mean, we love Hal and Susan. They're awesome. We will miss them this year. But we mentioned the mug, the Halloween mug. Every year when we have our party, we do trivia, and Hal is a 2-time champion, and we give out mugs, like commemorative. It has the date and everything on there. It's it's a fun little thing to give out. Anyway, and one year when Hal won trivia, we gave him a different gift, and we thought that it was great, and Hal loved it, but he really wanted the mug. So we went back and we got a mug and we gave it to him, and it just made his day, which makes us really happy, because to know that there's somebody that's really into something that you do, I mean, it's really cool. So true story. So if you go see him at the New Beverly Cinema, tell him you have his Halloween mug. And he's listening now anyway, so he'll know the joke. But I will tell you another quick story about this mug. We put a picture on it every year, and it's our dog, who unfortunately gets brought into the Halloween spirit. She hates this time of year. And the first year that I did this, we had gotten her we'd gotten her a costume, and it was a pumpkin costume. So, and our dog is a large dog. She's not a tiny dog. So, we put this pumpkin on her, and on her head we put the little pumpkin top. And I took the picture of her, and next to her I had put her little chew toy, which was a little squishy kind of, it was like a pumpkin, a thing that squeaks, with the pumpkin face and all that. So, I take pictures of our dog, and probably about an hour or so later, I'm walking around, and I look down on the floor, and I see this little piece of black felt. And then as I'm looking, I see other pieces of black felt. And all of a sudden, I see her pumpkin chew toy. Well, she was so upset with me for putting her in this pumpkin costume that she tore the face off of her pumpkin toy. So never let it be said that dogs don't have personalities. Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed my interview with Hal Havins. I wanted to leave some of my ramblings on the post-interview portion because I thought it tied everything together so well. I honestly forgot about the whole mug discussion that we had on that interview. What I didn't forget about was that horrible story of Hal ripping his ear apart and bleeding everywhere. Just brutal. If you'd like to know more about me or the show, I've included a link to my introduction video I did a while back, as well as a link to Tombstone #1, which was my interview with director Patrick Lussier as we discussed his film at the time, My Bloody Valentine 3D. You can find these links in the show notes. There's a whole lot more where this came from, including my interview with someone from a very, very famous horror film that has never been heard. It's been collecting digital dust in the Graveyard Show archives. One of these days I will upload that interview, but for now we're going to be revisiting interviews that I actually did upload from the Graveyard Show podcast. So if you want to stay on top of my uploads, please hit the subscribe button, and of course, comments are always welcome. And as you exit the graveyard, I would like to remind you to please lock the gate behind you. We wouldn't want anyone to get out. Until next time.